politician. I'm not on the school board. I would to be either. No disrespect to anybody. I just have, you know, a 13-year-old and 10-year-old in the Bryant School District. You know, I think about where I live, the school district I'm in. I just didn't want to browbeat anybody. I just want to kind of tell my story a little bit more than anything. Hopefully, I'll interject some facts of really what this is all about, because I'm not a Facebook guy either, but I've been on Facebook looking at some stuff the past few days, and there's so much wrong information out there. But in the fact of, you know, of y'all that do not live in the Bryant School District, you know, just first and foremost, you know, this is a decision, even though you don't get to vote in the Benton School District, this is a community-wide. This is a county-wide issue. This won't be the last millage vote. I'm sure there will be a Benton millage vote. There will be a hot zone. There will continue to be some, because there's one fundamental reason why, and it's because people want to move to Saline County. That's why I came out here 10 years ago. I kind of back up a little bit. We were living in West Little Rock. My wife Brooke and I, we had a little boy, and we knew we were going to have a little girl. We started thinking, do we want to raise our kid in Little Rock, knowing the fact that schools are going to be okay until third to fifth grade, and then what? PA, Little Rock Christian. You know, it's going to be the never-ending two kids in daycare, $1,000 plus a month. Where do we want to move? Cabot, Conway. And so we had a lot of friends, because at the time we're going to Guyer Springs Baptist, and so we looked out here and we moved to Benton in the Bryant School District. And, you know, we've got both of our kids in Hurricane Creek right there, great neighborhood school, great, pretty new school, certified green school, everything's great. Well, now my son is in Bryant Middle. Well, as you get to Bryant Middle, it's an older school, and of course you drive in and you see the big brand new high school, and you think, wow, this is great. But when you start looking at class sizes, you start looking at the buildings behind the high school, you start looking at the auditoriums, you start looking at the gyms that I kid around and say, I feel like I'm walking into the set of Hoosiers in some of these facilities, because that's kind of what they feel like, particularly when you look at North Little Rock, you look at some of the Placer County schools, you look at Conway. I gotta go to Cabot for the basketball tournament on Saturday, and I hear it's better than some small colleges. So that's just kind of the facts. So, you know, there are some people in the past that may not have liked, you know, the waste of the money spent in the past. There's too much wasted space, two-story atrium in the high school, whatever it might be. There's always going to be people that are critical of the past, because hindsight's 2020. But you know, I don't know who knows my wife in here, but she can say that I'm pessimistic, skeptical. I like to research, or sometimes I can be very negative, and it kind of garnered a really bad nickname in her family, not my family. But it's a pretty, you know, it's a negative nickname, because I'd always want to interject logic, and I got to research, and I've got to understand all these things so I can make my own decision. And so there was towards the end of last year, I had a meeting with Dr. Walters and Dr. Kimbrell and some other people, and I kind of started asking these questions. My big first question is, okay, so Bryant's growing. That is fantastic. You know, sometimes we see the growing pains, but my thing is that, so this millage is going to go to build an elementary school. My first question to Dr. Kimbrell was, why do we keep feeding the beast? And I kept thinking I was so cool and so smart by asking that question. And so they spent probably more time than they really needed to kind of fill me in on exactly what was going on. And I'm going to go back in history a little bit. I'm going to try not to go through a lot of details and bore you all, because I don't think I have a whole lot of time. I want to let y'all visit a little bit more than hear me talk, but I didn't really realize that, this isn't a vanity project. This isn't this is going to be my legacy, or this isn't the school board's legacy. We don't want to, we don't want to be the biggest and the best and have all shiny new buildings. That's not the point of this. If you go back about 10, 12 years ago, and prior to that, a lot of the school districts all over the state were having some severe funding issues, and they needed facilities improvements, they needed to build for growth, and they really just couldn't get the funding. They had no ability to really get the funding because they're talking about millions and millions of dollars. And the state came in and said, well, we'll help. We'll help do that. We'll help you with that. It's going to be, you have to raise some, the state will contribute some, and a millage will fund some of it, so it's roughly 30. Well, but it has to be based on a needs-based program. And so the reason why Bryant needs to pass a millage, and this will be the third time we've tried, there's never been a school district in the state of Arkansas that's ever failed 3 in a row. And obviously, I don't really think that anybody in Saline County, whether Benton, Bryant, Foxside, wherever, really wants that, in the county. But the school district's growing 300 kids a year. And, I hear somebody say, well, it's all school choice. I said it. I'm Mr. Pessimistic. I said it. And, less than 2% are actually school choice. There's probably a little bit of misinformation, I don't say fraud, but you know what I'm saying. There's probably some application of kids moving in that probably don't necessarily live here. You hear that too. But it's needs-based, 200 kids a year. So the state says, hey, y'all need to put together a 10-year growth plan. 300 kids a year, 10 years, elementary school, 500 kids is all it'll hold. Bethel Middle School is already 250 kids over its capacity. You have kids in mobile classrooms. You have all that stuff. So you do the math and you think about that. You say, well, okay, I understand. Well, where's the money going? I don't want to get into it because I know all of y'all have heard some words, right? Pretty much everybody. So where's the money going? How much is it? What's it going to mean to each of you? Those are all the questions you hear. So for those that you don't know, 300 kids trying to get out of Little Rock, trying to get out of Hot Spring. I don't know where they're coming from, or just natural people out, young population, particularly Bryant and children. The desperate need to, so feed my analogy of feeding the bees. Why are we building another elementary school? Open up more space. Why are we doing that? And it needs based. So you have those children in there. Well, then what does that do to middle school? That was important to me because of my son being in 7th grade. What does that mean for him? And I had to build another middle school, and ultimately the answer is yes. Well, then we still have one at capacity high school. That doesn't make sense. It's like a pyramid scheme that we continue just to broaden out the base. But what happens is that the plan is to build a middle school, but free up all the 9th graders to where it has more space than the high school. And so then it started kind of making sense to me. You're not necessarily, broadening that base. You are best utilizing the money in which you're getting without going overboard and doing more than you need to. We're not building a $5 million football stadium or anything like that. So that makes sense. Another question I had was, so why are we building a cafeteria that's good at some college campuses? And again, you have, 5 different lunch periods for the high school students, of which there's one class, we can believe this, there's one class that actually has to come in the class, teach for a little while, take a break, to go eat lunch, then come back and try to continue their class, because that's the only time that cafeteria is solely undersized for that size campus like this.
You can cheat on tests real good that way. I went to high school that way.
So, I mean, think about it. What was the other example? The band was trying to have a performance, and the facility was in such bad shape. There's flooding through in front of the stage, and they're trying to get the water out. So the facilities are in great need of not only building for a needs-based growth plan, but also for some of the facilities that that we tried to in the past. So the millage fell twice. So why can't we budget a little bit better? That's what I want to understand. Well, you go back, and since the last millage fell, and I wrote this down because this is pretty interesting. So why can't we budget better? Why can't we spend our money better? So since the last millage fell, the school district has saved almost probably by now, we saved $19 million to basically fund that third, give or take. Okay, so I don't really know how you can budget better than that. So what does it mean for us in the Bryant School District? I know what it means for me. It's going to be different for each of us there. But they figured out that the average house is $150,000 in the Bryant School District. And so they figured out that typically for the average person, it's 30 cents a day, not all. That's it. It's not a 1% sales tax increase. I mean, that's it. Some of us, it may not even really affect because we're renters. But it's really not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. There will be those people that are anti-tax, and they just, it doesn't matter what it's for. But, make sure I make anything out. Another thing that I found out the other day is that, who thinks the Bryant School District is a pretty good school district? Pretty good. Well, it used to be number 4. The highest paid, I keep pointing back to Cheryl, because you were kind of the same thing, of the best, of the highest paid teachers in the state, correct?
Yes, we were number 4.
We're number 4.
We were.
We were, keyword were. And so when the last millage failed, obviously where a lot of this savings came from is basically the state says, y'all got to prepare for the next millage. Y'all have to prepare for this process for the next. And so we went from 4 to 25. And so what attracts the best talent in your businesses?
Money.
And so a lot of this increased millage is going to be set aside for not only future facilities, payroll, and to prepare the district for that 10-year growth plan. I'm glad we're not just winging it. It's not going to be a 1 or 2 year growth plan to kind of see what happens. But it's going to be a 10-year growth plan. And so we want to be able to, we really would be probably number 1, but we hate to see that the district fell from 4 to 25. A lot of people don't know that either.
Did the teachers take pay cuts or?
They just
Freezes. And so a lot of that's already budgeted for in the anticipation that we do get this millage passed. Let me see anything else. So really, before I don't know if anybody has any questions, if I just ramble on, but really what we need as a community and for the Bryant School District is we're looking for 3,000 yes votes. And I'm in a group of people for the Bryant Middle School with my son, and we're responsible for 600 signatures. The grand champion winner back there, Cheryl, is in charge of 750. So guess what? I brought some vote yes sign-up sheets, and really all it is to put your name down, email, looking for. I'm not here to tell you, you know, what to vote. I just urge you to go to the website. I'm gonna have some handouts of some facts, you know, that, and I don't really want to go into what's going to happen if it fails again. You know, I don't want to really go into the details of you know, there were the state deems the district in, what is the terminology? Facilities distress. And they take over the district and run it how they see fit. And what could really happen with that? I want y'all, if you're able to vote, I want y'all to look at that and make a decision for yourself. We'll have sign-up sheets before you go, if you're able to vote in the Bryant School District, that you do sign up and we can count on a yes vote. But educate yourselves on doing that. I know, like, for example, you mentioned Jeremiah. Jeremiah voted no last time. And even for me, I voted yes last time. I didn't vote at all the first time, but I had to kind of come to grips with and learn and justify for myself what the money's going for, so I could really make an educated decision on whether I vote yes. I'm going to vote yes, obviously, but I urge that, you know, you educate yourself and do the same. I'm going to leave all these out there, but before I do, anybody have any questions about anything? Yes, ma'am.
Will there be state matching funds for
Healing?
savings that the school district's piled up?
Glad you said that. We need to tell you what that would be. So right now, if I don't have it in front of me. So district savings, we mentioned that number, probably it's over 19 million now. That's comprised of 16%. State's gonna match 30, and then the millage is gonna make up 54. And typically the millage, what it'll do is it's gonna service the bond issue. We're gonna provide, you know, a little bit more of an emergency reserve fund. It's gonna have reserves for preparing for the future, to attract those best teachers. You know, we don't want to get to the point where facilities distress.
How much do the project's plan cost?
The total project, between now and 2021, the number that I saw was 65 million. Does that sound right?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please tell everyone the name of the website to get more information?
Yes. Let me find it here. It is.
KeepBryantSchoolsMoving.com.
Thank you. And what it'll have, it'll actually have, you know, what I'm going to hand out to you in paper form. It'll have a great deal of information as well. A lot of it's being sent out on social media.
Like them on Facebook.
Do I?
Like them on Facebook.
Yes,
They have
please do.
Facebook page and share.
And it's really interesting to see. Just really interesting to see. I mean, I know, feel like I'm kind of in the dark ages sometimes when it comes to social media, but it's really interesting to see some of the perspectives on. And I can see how people get sucked into debates too, in an open forum as well. But last thing, register to vote. You can vote early. You can vote 7th, 10th, and 13th of March. But in this respect, kind of interesting. You can go vote anywhere. You don't have to go vote typically where you're assigned to do another election. And election day is March 14th. Go to the website. What is it again?
KeepBryantSchoolsMoving.com.
Go to the website, get more information. I'm gonna leave this here, and just, if you feel led to, please sign as a commit to vote yes for the village. We appreciate it. Any more questions?
Take some sign time in the yard so I don't have to take them home.
Put them in the fronts of your subdivisions. I also have some pamphlets back there too, I'll leave. It shows, because there was a lot of miscommunication last time on, well, I live in Benton, can I vote? And, well, I don't have kids, so I don't know if I'm in the Bryant School District or not. You can get some more information there on the website and those pamphlets as well. And I appreciate the support. You have no question?
I did have one question. I know you didn't want to get into it, but I keep hearing the threat of that the state's going to come in and take over the school district, yada yada, and we don't have to get into it. But I had someone who had told me they're voting no, and I made that argument to them, and they're like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, well, that's an excellent question. I'd like to see, as someone who is voting yes, you know, where the state has said will come in, and I, for my own research purposes, would like to know kind of what that will mean for our school district. You know, I know you didn't want to get into it, but I'd like to know, because I'd like to be able to make that argument to someone else and educate them, and I can't if I'm not, so.
You're not old enough to remember back when Pulaski County and Little Rock school districts were taken over.
Well, I also didn't live here, so.
But you can look at Little Rock if you wanna know what's gonna happen. You hear about Little Rock schools all the time, bad in the news.
Right.
That's what's gonna happen.
Well, and like I said, I've heard that, but I just, because I'm a researcher, I want to read to know, to speak to it in an educated manner when I speak to someone else.
Well, really what happened is, and you're exactly right, you know, I even suggested, like, go find somebody that went through that in one of the Saline County districts and have them tell their story. But really what happens is that when the state deems your facility stressed, they come in and they say, okay, we're running the show now. And so we've got to get, you're still gonna have to build to accommodate the growth. Needs-based, you're still gonna do that. It's gonna come out of this 18, 19, $20 million worth of that. But what you're gonna have to do is it's gonna be on the sacrifice of something else. So it's gonna be, you know, we have a large number of AP classes, state minimums.
And that's what I want to know.
Recreation state
I'm not,
minimums.
yes, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
for when I talk to other people, I'd like to know what those consequences would be, so I could speak to that, you know.
I wasn't here either. I was in Los Angeles, but to say that's comparable, that's not. Because the Little Rock School was facing something entirely different. Basically, here is growth of space and things like that. So I would think you need to get that information from someone at the school so you could address it appropriately.
Right.
Because if I were to tell somebody that, they would say, I don't think you're telling me the truth.
Right.
Because you're not facing the same thing.
Right.
So you need the correct information.
Well, and what Dr. Walters from the high school said was, here's the biggest fear. For the Little Rock School District and the Pulaski County School District, the state took over. They fired the board and they got rid of the superintendent, okay? And they but now that was academic stress, okay? We don't know what they're gonna do. The state doesn't want us. But at the end of the day, if we are in distress also, there's a good possibility, so there's not discrimination on what's happened in the past, there's a good possibility we will be taken over, and because just like he said, we will go to the bare minimums.
Takeover
All of
is-
that will give you, yes,
I
it will be
agree.
all taken over.
Takeover is never good.
No.
Any level.
And we don't know what they'll do
Right.
if the millage doesn't pass, but there are some worst case scenarios.
Right.
And personally, I don't want that for my school district
I don't either.
and for my children, you know, and my children won't see any of this. My children are juniors in high school, they're gone, but for our future generations, we have got to find the growth. I have sat in an awards assembly and there was water running under my feet. There is not a place on the campus where our children can have any type of pep rally. If you've ever been to a pep rally, you walk in for 30 seconds, you can't breathe, and you leave. I mean, we have got to pass this for our students, and I'll be quiet.
Not only that, I live down this road, about 2 more miles down this road, and I can tell you for sure, for a fact, that it's not school choice. There are subdivisions being built, and people live here, it is overcrowded, that's why we need to do this. Too many people live here, period.
And people want to live here.
They do.
I mean, we have a great reputation of both Benton and Bryant. Benton is a fantastic school district, great facilities, and, you know, and another thing too, you know, just domino means that, yeah, the facilities are one thing, but at the same token, you know, I remember when we moved out here, and we were looking at the house in Heritage Farms, and the very bottom of it was the marketing thing that brought us was in Bryant School District. And if it fails this time, you know, it's going to be very difficult to use that as a marketing tool for our real estate. There are a lot of us involved in that, you know, and
Well, and for commercial growth too.
in small business. I think, you know, I think it ultimately becomes kind of a domino effect. You know, that happens, and, you know, you see people looking at other districts,
Can I just point out real quick that this lady right here from 501 Nutrition moved here from Oklahoma, because she looked in the newspaper or in the Google, you Googled it, to find out where to move to.
Place to raise your kids, and Bryant is the best place to open your business. It grew by 160% from last year, and that's exactly how we were in comparison to schools.
Those are the kind of statistics we need to keep in the news.
Yes.
I got an email from the chamber that Bryant there's 25 on the list of most growing places, Bryant's number one. Benton was like number, let's say 5 or 6, but Bryant's number one.
So, thank you, yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to just say, we too moved here from Texas for Bryant School District. I have a son in 4th grade, a daughter that will start kindergarten at American Increase Election this year. I'm doing this for my children. Yes. It's very important to us and our family going forward, so please vote yes.
And I just wanna say real quick,
I don't know
what ages y'all's kids are, got kids, coming up in the school district, or if you're done. My daughter graduated this year, so I'm like Cheryl. My kids are not gonna, benefit from this, but we're definitely gonna vote yes, mainly, for future of Bryant and our home values, that would be a positive. But also because if you haven't been in the Bryant facilities, like at the high school, it's embarrassing. Really. We're supposed to be one of the best school districts and one of the best communities to come live in. And the first time I went into that high school gym, because I'd come here for my son to go to middle school, and I've been in the 2 middle school gyms, and they're pretty nice. The first time I went into the high school gym, I really thought it was a joke. I thought we must be in this gym because the other one must be being worked on or something. I'm like, what is this? This is like, it's really, really not in good shape. It is not big enough. Like Cheryl said, there's not one indoor facility for everybody to come in. But also Love Auditorium desperately needs to be redone. If any of you went to any of the Broadway series shows at Monell, their gym is beautiful. Their hall is beautiful. And then you go to ours and it's just embarrassing, and something has got to be done, and it's going to be done. The buildings are going to be built, it's just going to be at the detriment of something else.
You come in for a concert, and for each band, parents have to leave for new parents to come in and listen to the next
So,
song.
yeah, you can't even stay and listen to all the concerts because you're not in a friend group where you can sit. It's just something that's got to be done.
Thank you all. I'm gonna leave these over here if you have more questions on your business.
Piggybacks on hers. Aren't there some tours that we can take at Bryant? So if you want to see the facility and what is needed and what's going on, I don't know if Cheryl or somebody can tell us the dates of those tours you can go to the Bryant.
I'll get an email sent out, Joni.
Okay.
But we want this to happen without the expense of the activities and the music and stuff like that. That's the kind of things that would get cut. And my kids grew up in band, and we don't want those programs to be cut. Thanks. And get your salaries. We want you to go to theater. I don't want your salary frozen. I know I don't want mine frozen. Thank you so much. And quickly, I don't have a dog in this fight. However, I'm a nana. I don't live in Saline County, but the county I live in, I have 8 grandchildren. Well, excuse me, back up. 7 grandchildren, because the youngest one's 5 months old. 7 grandchildren that go to school in 2 different school districts where I live. And you think I don't want them to have the best? I want them to have the best teachers. I want them to have a safe environment to go to school in. But more importantly, when that 5-month-old is school age, I want to make sure that what we do for, what we're doing now is going to take care of my kids, my grandkids. So I hope you feel the same way. It just boggles my mind that Bryant as a community is listed overall in the nation as #1 to live in, and our schools dropped from 4 to 25. Are you kidding me? I have no idea, and I say our schools because I work here. I have coworkers here, I have friends here, and most importantly, I have customers here. And I want my customers to be taken care of, and I want their families, to move here and buy houses and go to Bryant schools. So please vote yes. Like I said, I have no dog in this fight. If I was voting, I'd vote yes. Okay, I'm through preaching.